Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on the Sunrise, and I'm very, very excited to be here because I'm going to be sharing a few tips on what you can actually do to avoid summer burnout, or rather, avoid social burnout this summer because of how things have changed, how we're adjusting to new things, and obviously, because of all of that, there are a lot of changes that we need to make as well, right? So, obviously, I'm very, very excited to be here to share share those sentiments with you, to share those thoughts with you, because I want to make sure that you're aware about what you can do to make sure that you avoid social burnout. Okay, now you're tuned into Relax Radio and you're with your girl Sarah on the Sunrise. And I will obviously be telling you these tips, but before I tell you these tips, I want to make sure that you're aware that you can get in touch with me, that you call me and even text me to share your thoughts and your personal or your experiences with me as well. Okay, so make sure you text me on 078 the number is there right there, and you can text me on that, call me on that. Please do get in touch with me because I want to know what you're thinking, I want to know what you're feeling as well. Okay, and don't forget to actually go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, to like us on Facebook, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that way you can make sure that you're always informed about everything that happens all over the world, not just here in the UK, all over the world. Okay, so that's absolutely amazing as well. And if you want to always be informed and aware about whatever is going on, that's the best way for you to do that. And don't forget to download the app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It's completely free of charge, and you can listen in from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. So don't forget to do that as well. But right now, let's actually get into some things that you can actually do to make sure that you avoid social burnout this summer. Okay, so what exactly is social burnout, and why is everyone, freaking out about it? Well, let me tell you, okay, it's because a lot of us didn't go out as much as we used to, right? We didn't, we couldn't go out and do the things that we normally did because of the pandemic. And because of that, obviously, we've had to get used to how much our lives have changed, right? How much of change we're going through. And, we've also had to change to the fact that we couldn't go out and hang out with our friends the same way we used to. So, because of that, now that lockdown has been lifted and everything's, going back to normal, how exactly do you avoid social burnout? How exactly do you make sure you're not putting so much of pressure on yourself to make sure that you look all happy and excited to be with your friends, but really inside you're not? Okay, so that's why I'm here, to make sure that you don't burn yourself out during the summer when you are going out with your friends. Right now, step number one is actually to make sure that you ease in very, very gently. Right now, this is very, very important because you need to keep in mind that we were stuck at home for about 18 months, right? So obviously it's not like you can suddenly fill up your social calendar and be super excited to go out, because that makes no sense, right? It's like we took so long to get used to lockdown. So obviously we're going to take some time to get used to the fact that we are, that we're free now, but we don't have to abide by these restrictions, right? However, having said that, it doesn't mean that you can do it all overnight, right? It just does not work like that. So to make sure that you don't do it overnight, to make sure that you are aware about, making sure that you need to take it slow, you need to ease in very, very gently. You can't go from 0 to 100. Maybe try going from 0 to 10, and then 10 to 20, like that, gradually. Okay, now step number two is actually to pace yourself. You have to make sure that you pace yourself. Okay, now don't try and get all of your days filled with all of these social events that you have, right? Because every time you're looking at your phone, you can't be thinking of all these events that you have to go to. Or when you're turning the pages of your diary and you're like looking and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go to this, I have to do this. And you've made so many commitments that it gets hard for you to keep up with them as well. Okay, go do it one at a time. For example, go out for lunch this weekend. Okay, then take a break. Don't go out every day, because it's going to get very tiring for you, because you're not used to that right now. Okay, and tip number three is actually to get in the right mindset. Because even when we're socializing with the people we love and the events that we enjoy, that it doesn't, it still takes a toll on our energy levels, right? So take whatever steps that you need to take before you head out. For example, you can make sure that you take a bath, you take a bath, you go for a walk, you read a book, you meditate, whatever it is that you want to do to feel rested before you go out. do that. Let yourself get in the right mindset to actually enjoy it, because if you go there with all these negative feelings, you're not really going to enjoy it, right? So make sure you take the correct steps that you need to take to make sure you enjoy the moment. And fourthly, something that a lot of us fail to do is to focus on that moment, right? We tend to focus on everything else other than that moment. So right now, focus on the moment. Okay, make sure you're focusing on the moment, you're focusing on the positives, and you're helping yourself actually be in that moment and enjoy all of these amazing things that are happening around you. Okay, and tip number 5 is very, very important. Don't drink if you don't want to. Now, I know you feel pressured sometimes when you're hanging out with your friends to drink, because y'all haven't drunk, y'all haven't, gone out like that in a long time. But if you're drinking to stop yourself from feeling awkward, to stop yourself from those weird social awkwardness that exists between you and whoever you're hanging out with, that's probably not a good idea, right? Because when you're under the influence of alcohol, it can actually exacerbate all of these, uncomfortable emotions that you have, right? It can even trigger symptoms of anxiety or depression. So make sure that you're safe and make sure you're careful. Now, make sure you stay tuned, because we're now actually going to head into a small break, and after that, we will be back to, keep giving you some more tips on how exactly you need to be, on how exactly what you need to do to make sure you avoid social burnout. Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and we're having a very important conversation on how exactly to avoid social burnout this summer, especially because we're finally getting to hang out with our friends and go out and enjoy our lives the same way that we used to. Okay, so we need to make sure that we don't get social burnout, and that's why I'm here to actually give you a few steps on how exactly to do that. Okay, now before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can actually text me on 07852473473. The number is available just there. So make sure you get in touch with me and make sure you share your thoughts and your opinions with me, because I want to know what you are thinking. Okay, so don't forget to do that. And I want to know what you're thinking as well. Okay, and obviously, while we're at that, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, follow us on Instagram, and you can follow us on Twitter and TikTok as well. And don't forget to do that. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Okay, so don't forget to do that, because that's going to be absolutely amazing. and you can always make sure you're informed, you're updated about everything that happens all over the world, right? And don't forget to download the app either, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. You can download it on either your iOS device or your Android device, and you can listen in from anywhere in the world, right? And I'm telling you, it really doesn't get any better than that. So that's absolutely amazing, right? So make sure you do that. Don't forget to do that. But right now, let's actually head back into our conversation on what exactly you need to do to make sure that you can avoid social burnout. Okay, so let's talk about it, right? Because it's very, very important that we talk about it. Now, tip number six, or something that you should do again, is you need to allow some recovery time for yourself. Okay, now this is very, very important. And the reason I'm saying that, the reason I'm saying it's very important is because, like I said, first of all, you're not used to going out as much as you used to, right? Obviously. So going out all over again is something new altogether, right? So, for you to get used to it, for you to make sure that you're used to it, what you need to do is actually you need to allow some recovery time, right? Because that when you go out, there's some amount of energy that you spend, right? Obviously, hanging out with your friends, meeting up with your friends, it takes energy from your body. So, you need to make sure that you give yourself enough time to actually get that rest that you need, to make sure you get that rest that you need so that you can recharge and you're rejuvenated the next time you have to go out or you have to go out for work. Whatever it is, make sure that you don't forget to give yourself some time for recovery, for rest. Okay, and tip number seven is try to always keep the conversation light and limited. Okay, and when I say that, I actually mean it. Okay, because look, I know we've all had a hard year, and I know sometimes you want to talk about your friends with all the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows and the learnings of the pandemic, right? However, it might be better for you to actually focus on what exactly is happening right now. Focus on the moment, right? This is what I meant earlier as well. When you're I think this is just a human thing. We tend to focus on everything else other than the present. Like, you will think about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen in the future or what happened 10 years ago, but you will completely forget the fact that you're living in the moment. Like, you're living in the present, and you will focus on everything other than the present. Okay, so make sure, when you're having conversations with your friends, you focus it on the present. Try not to bring up all the things that you went through during the pandemic, because let's be honest, we all went through a lot of things, and not a lot of people like being reminded about those times, because those times were in fact very, very tough, not just for you or for me, but for everyone else as well. Right. And step number eight is actually to accept that feelings may have changed. Look, you need to sort of come to terms with the fact that maybe your friends' feelings have changed. Maybe relationships might have drifted apart. Because let's be honest, okay? Talking to your friends over the phone or just, video calling them wasn't the same as actually meeting them in life. And for you to have a good friendship, for you to have a good relationship, you have to spend a lot of time with them. The more time you spend, the more stronger your relationship becomes, right? So obviously, if you haven't been able to spend time with them, if you haven't been able to hang out with them the same way that you used to before the pandemic, feelings might have changed, you might have drifted apart, right? But what you need to do is you need to accept those feelings. You need to come to terms with those feelings and say, look, it's okay that it changed, but I'll try to work on this. I'll try to be, I'll try to create that same I will try to, create that same friendship that we had. I will try to get back to it. But don't expect things to be the same way it was, right? Which is, not definitely not going to happen. Now, something else that you need to do is give yourself a power hour, okay? And the reason I call it a power hour is because you have to sort of make sure that you have to make sure that if you don't want to go to a party, if you want to go to a party, then the best thing for you to do is actually to give yourself a power hour. Now, how this works is actually, say you want to go to a party, but you're not especially excited about it. You're not all, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go for this party. You're more like, do I actually want to go for this party? So if you are feeling like that, if you're feeling like that, then don't worry. What you need to do is give yourself something that I call the power hour. Okay, now how that works actually is you are going to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to go for this event, but I'm only going to be here for an hour. Okay, and basically what you're going to do then is make sure that if you're staying there for an hour, well, look, what if you find that situation very uncomfortable and not, you don't like it, well, then you're going to stay there for an hour, and the more overwhelming that you feel, then you leave after an hour, right? But if you're beginning to enjoy the event after staying there for an hour, then you can stay for it, right? Stay for the rest of the event. So it's actually a win-win situation. It's a 50-50 situation. You can either leave or you can go, but it's all up to you because you're going to stay for 1 hour and figure out if you want to stay or not. Okay, and the last tip of all is actually to ask yourself, do you actually want to go? And I think this is very, very important as well. Okay, because more often than not, we just say yes to things without really understanding why we want to go for it, right? So, slow down, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, do I actually want to go for this? Is this something I'm interested in? Do I actually want to go for it? Because if you don't want to go for it, you don't have to. You're not obliged to go to it, right? Ultimately, it's your choice. You're important and your decision matters, okay? So if you feel like going for it, you go for it. But if you don't, just stay at home, okay? That's completely fine. So hopefully these tips will help you avoid social burnout this summer, and it will also help you, be more aware, be more excited about all of these things that you have. So make sure you stay, make sure you use these tips, right? And make sure you stay tuned because Jamie will be here in a few minutes actually to make sure that you are aware about everything that happens all over the world. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. And I hope you have an absolute